As the Wasatch County population grows and new schools are built, Wasatch County School District continues to honor their responsibilities to be fiscally sound. To understand the efforts made to take care of taxpayer dollars, let's look at two critical events. First, let's look at the financial details accompanying this year's bond. Second, let's take a look at how the money was managed on the district's most recently completed construction projects. During this election season, the district has been very straightforward about what the current bond issue will cost taxpayers: $47 for every $100,000 of property value. The district's financial counsel have the task of placing a price today on a project will not be actually finalized until it is bid in January and the bonds are sold in February to pay for the construction. So where do the numbers come from that they use? There are two factors which are the major players in projecting taxpayer cost on bonds. The first is the interest rate at which the bonds will be financed. The second is the total assessed value of real property in Wasatch County over the life of the bonds. The interest rate will not be locked in until the bond is actually sold on the market in late January or early February. Because of that, the financial advisors must project an interest rate which they believe will be available after the first of the year. History has taught the district that much can happen between the passage of the bond in November and the sale of the bond in February. So, to be conservative, the interest rate used to project bond costs this year was 3.5%. The assessed value of real property in the county is the other determining factor in deciding how much each property owner will owe when the taxes come due. Again, in an effort to be conservative in their predictions, the financial advisors used a growth rate of 4% per year. In other words, they predict that over the next 20 years, the growth in the county will average at least 4% per year. Using those figures, the rate per $100,000 of property value for a homeowner would be $47. A business owner or the owner of a secondary property would pay $85 per $100,000 of value. However, let's look closer at the current market. The current interest rate available for bonds is near 2%. Analysts project that that rate will continue for the next few months. Now let's look at the growth rate. Over the past 15 years, which include 4 recessionary years in which property values in the county actually declined, the average growth rate in Wasatch County's real property has been 8.08%. Projections indicate that this growth should continue for the next several years, if not beyond. So what happens to the per $100,000 cost if those current numbers are plugged into the formula in place of the 3.5% interest rate and the 4% growth rate? The cost per $100,000 of property value drops to $28 for the homeowners and $50 for the business or secondary homeowner. Now this does not guarantee that the per $100,000 rate is going to drop to $28, but it will be somewhere between $28 and $47 per $100,000 of value. It is clear that Wasatch County School District has been very conservative in projecting a $47 cost per $100,000 of assessed value to taxpayers. One critical point to mention: the interest rate available to the school district now is at a historic low. Bonding now is clearly a well-thought-out, responsible option as the district seeks to provide appropriate school facilities for the children of the county. Next, let's look at the most recent construction project completed by the school district. In 2014, a $62 million bond was passed to build Timpanogos Middle School, Daniels Canyon Elementary School, and the Aquatic Center. The total of these 3 projects came in under budget, so some of the remaining money was used to add another revenue-generating component to the Aquatic Center, the splash pad, and to add a much-needed second gymnasium to Rocky Mountain Middle School. Both of these things were accomplished using funds from the 2014 bond. However, the story which has not been told is that when all of these projects had been completed, the district had only sold $57 million of the $62 million bond. In other words, $5 million of the authorized bond was never sold. That means that the total cost to the taxpayer was reduced by $5 million over what had been projected. Passing a bond for $62 million does not incur any debt for homeowners. It is the sale of those authorized bonds that establishes the debt. By selling only $57 million of the available bond, the district limited the financial impact to each taxpayer. The cost per $100,000 for each taxpayer had been projected at $67.04, but today sits at $40.19. in part because of growth in the valley, but also in large measure because the district wisely chose not to borrow the entire authorized amount. One added note: the business administrator is always watching bond rates. When it is advantageous to refinance bonds to get a lower rate, that move is always made. In 2014, the 2005 Old Mill bonds and the 2007 Wasatch High School bonds were refinanced. This resulted in a savings to taxpayers of $3,096,988. When rates took another dip in 2017, the bonds were again refinanced, resulting in a savings to the taxpayers of another $835,747. So, what do these experiences show us? First, when they are planning for a school bond, the school district plans very carefully and conservatively to know what individual taxpayers will be paying. Second, they have not wastefully spent bond funds available to them. On the contrary, they have not even drawn down the full amount of a bond if it was not needed. Good planning, responsible spending, and resourceful management of funds. These are the hallmarks of leadership from Wasatch County School District, which demonstrate a track record of sound financial management while providing students the best education possible.